Namaskar. You are listening to Vigyan Ki Awaaz, a podcast series brought to you by Media for Community Foundation, supported and catalyzed by National Council for Science and Technology Communication. On Vigyan Ki Awaaz, we bring to you the latest innovations in technology and science from around the globe. We also get to you the latest from Indian labs working relentlessly to improve the quality of your life. Argentina Minister of Science, Technology and Innovation, Mr. Daniel Filmus, accompanied by a high-level delegation, called on Union Minister of Science and Technology and Earth Sciences, Dr. Jitendra Singh, and discussed bilateral collaborations between the two countries. Argentina Minister of Science, Technology and Innovation, Mr. Daniel Filmus, accompanied by a high-level delegation, called on Union Minister of Science and Technology and Earth Sciences, Dr. Jitendra Singh, and discussed bilateral collaborations between the two countries. The Argentina minister also sought India's support to deploy technologies for implementation by industry and facilitating the entrepreneurs in Argentina. Dr. Jitendra Singh said CSIR would be very keen to connect with industries from Argentina and work towards implementation of the technologies, products, processes in Latin American nations with governmental support. He said CSIR is among global R&D leaders and has intrinsic strengths to provide S&T expertise in the development process through effective international collaboration. India launched 353 foreign satellites since 2014. Union Minister Jitendra Singh said that India has launched 353 foreign satellites since 2014, earning the country foreign exchange. He said India earned 187 million euros from the European countries and $39 million from US by launching satellites since 2014. Earlier, in reply to a question in Lok Sabha, Dr. Singh said, in order to promote and encourage public-private participation, projects and startups, a central PSU called New Space India Limited (NSIL) has been established. He also said a single window nodal agency, Indian National Space Promotion and Authorization Centre (IN-SPACE), has been established to promote non-government entities and to create an ecosystem for private companies in the space sector. And 135 applications have been received by IN-SPACE from non-governmental entities and startups in the space sector. Isro to launch second SSLV on February 10. As per media reports, the Indian Space Research Organisation will launch the second developmental flight of the small satellite launch vehicle from the Satish Dhawan Space Centre in Sriharikota on Friday. ISRO's first launch of the year scheduled at 9:18 am from the first launch pad at SDSC. The SSLV D2 is intended to inject the 156.3 kg Earth observation satellite EOS-07 designed and developed by ISRO, along with Genesis-1, a 10.2 kg satellite by US-based space software provider Antares, and Azadi Sat-2 weighing 8.7 kg and put together. Now it's time for an amplifier. In Amplifier, we showcase the work, research and innovations of CSIR, ICAR and their dynamic national laboratories, famous for cutting-edge research and development, knowledge base in diverse science and technology areas. Also, you meet personalities who are enhancing the quality of life of citizens of India through their innovation and research in the field of science and technology. Scientists who are developing sustainable solutions and capacity building to fulfill dreams of all Indians. In Vigyan Ki Awaaz, our today's guest is Dr. Deepak Datta. Dr. Datta is Principal Scientist and Head of Cancer Biology Division at CSR, CDRI, Lucknow. Now,
thank you very much for inviting me. So, actually, myself, Deepak Datta, working as a senior principal scientist at CSIR CDRI and heading the division of cancer biology. And in the lab, we have a 10-member, very well-knitted team and trying to do our research and resolve societal problems, especially focusing on cancer. So basically, our research interest revolves around to understand the molecular mechanisms of triple-negative breast cancer metastasis. As you know, why we are interested in breast cancer, because breast cancer right now frequency of breast cancer is right now very high among Indian women, and the breast cancer itself has multiple subtypes, and triple-negative breast cancer is one of the subtypes. And in India is known to be the TNBC capital of the world due to its highest incidence. And not only highest incidence, it is the deadliest among all breast cancer subtypes. If you look around why we are so prone to TNBC, because our lifestyle, poverty, obesity, family history, and some gene mutations like BRCA1 actually play a major role for higher frequency of TNBC in Indian context. So it is very aggressive disease, and there is a huge unmet need for this triple-negative breast cancer, as it metastasizes very fast to the secondary organ. And most importantly, there is no targeted therapy for this subsector of breast cancer. As you can see from its name, like triple-negative breast cancer the breast cancer therapy is actually revolves around anti-hormone therapy, especially the estrogen receptor, progesterone receptor, and HER2 receptor antagonists are used as a common breast cancer therapy. But as it lacks, TNBC lacks all of the receptors for the hormones, so all the existing anti-hormone therapies do not work here. So there is no targeted therapy so far. So we try to discover the targeted therapies for this subsector of breast cancer, especially the triple-negative breast cancer. And our research area revolves around that, and our team is also interested in this direction. That is about our current lab problem. Yes.
Okay. So if you can just tell our listeners in a more, let's say, simpler way, that how this cancer is different from the most common current breast cancers which is there in society right now.
So if you consider breast cancer as a whole, there are multiple subtypes in the breast cancer, and breast cancer can be categorized into based on the presence of estrogen receptor, like progesterone receptor and HER2 receptor. So based on that, when clinicians categorize in the breast cancer subtypes, they apply the treatment regimen accordingly. But like tamoxifen is a common anti-hormone therapy what we use for most of the breast cancers, those who are hormone receptor positive, especially the ER-positive breast cancers. But when we consider triple-negative breast cancer, as I mentioned earlier, it actually completely lacks expression of presence of all three receptors. So if you even treat these patients with anti-hormone therapy, they don't respond. So the chemotherapeutic drugs for other cancers, what have been used, is the only options to treat this TNBC subtype. And there is no specificity for this chemotherapy, and it creates huge toxicity and off-target effect to the patients. Although cure is far distant away for this TNBC category. So if you focus about solid tumors, so far our understanding is, when solid tumor progresses, it actually changes when it grows, actually the potential of tumor potential changes. And even, it changes when you apply therapy. That's why you see therapy resistance and finally relapse of the tumor. What we used to always see, surgery and then chemotherapy, and patient is doing fine for 2 years, and then again a tumor relapses, maybe in the other sites or maybe in the same site or other sites maybe, and then that tumor, the relapse tumor, even deadly in that sense. So what we actually in clinics, what we see, like, some remaining cells or resistant cells, if it lives in the body even after surgery or multiple rounds of chemotherapy, that actually, eventually it will again develop tumors in more deadly way, more resistant way, and kill the patients. So that's why we always evolve around or focus around mainly not to the growth of the primary tumors. Our lab is trying to understand how primary tumors spread to the secondary organs. And if you can really block the spread of those tumors, the heterogeneous primary tumors, because not all the cells goes to the secondary organ, go to the secondary organs. Some very selective cells, highly potent cells, go to the secondary organs and create a secondary metastasis. If we can block that pathway, especially the movement of cells from primary tumor to secondary organ, so you can really, inhibit that process, and you can really conquer such type of cancers. In that regard, I would like to share one information. Recently, in last November 2022, we published a nice paper in Nature Communications, where we showed, we discovered one mechanism for triple-negative breast cancer metastasis to the secondary organ. And even that drug against that particular protein is H2 or tasmetostat, which has been approved by the FDA against sarcoma. What our clinical study suggests that if you use that FDA-approved tasmetostat or H2 inhibitor against TNBC, in future we may get good metastasis block in those patients. If it can be after clinical trials, it can be successful clinical trials, it can be tried with TNBC patients. This is a new targeted, our discovery suggests a new targeted therapy for TNBC. So that is our recent contribution, which was published in Nature Communications, which has good, very good translational value.
Bananas contain potassium, and because potassium decays, the yellow fruit becomes slightly radioactive. That's all for today. For any suggestions or feedback, do write to us at mediaforcommunity@gmail.com. This podcast has been produced by Ashish Tiwari.